I was kind of interested in the whole relationship between this convention and the issue of fear and the issue of decline, which I think are pretty fundamental to the current moment, and which the Republican Party has been really pushing very hard, especially in its kind of sound machine of video, television, radio, direct mail. I mean, people who are on those lists are inundated with messages of just the skies falling, right? So, I went around with some, to delegates, and delegates and non-delegates, just people on the street actually, using that as a frame and asking them what they were afraid of. So, the interesting thing that developed from that was that the most voluble people, the people who had the most to say, the people who hadn't seemed to leave their brains on the porch steps before they arrived in Tampa, were the Ron Paul people, were the Liberty people. And, they would say what they're most afraid of. They would say government. And I'd say, well, can you be a little more specific? And in one case, this fellow said, well, the police state, as if that was an obvious answer from a Republican. Well, of course, it wasn't an obvious answer from a Republican, but it is an obvious answer from the libertarians on the question of whether government has the right to tell you who to make love to, who to sleep with, who to love, what to do with your body, what to put in your body, whether you have the right to free speech, whether the power of money is going to be determinate, whether the United States should be all over the world in hundreds of bases all over the world, whether it should be bombing people, torturing people, denying habeas corpus, shredding the Constitution. These are not small points where the left and the right agree. These aren't like just minor things. These aren't just, well, we have a little thing about money in politics, like campaign finance reform. They're not talking about campaign finance reform. They're talking about oligarchy. And the libertarians were shafted, or they felt shafted in this convention because they were very passionate about their candidate, Ron Paul. They had actually garnered a number of delegates from their state conventions for him. And they were either stripped of those delegates in the convention itself, or they were stripped in future, they felt, by rules change, which says that really the power of the delegations is not going to land in the hands of the local, the states, but is going to be much more top-down affair from Washington. So, of course, this strikes at the very heart of their whole belief system, that there should be smaller government, there should be decentralization, that power should be, at the base, at the smallest possible level. And they had come, curiously, to Tampa with this idealism, This does not, anyone who's watched politics for any length of time and has been involved with it for any length of time, isn't surprised that party leadership would attack its grassroots, would attack its least disciplined in terms of message, members. But these people had been in politics maybe 5 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years at most. They're not jaded. And they really believe this message that, constitutionality, individual representation, representative democracy, republic, whatever you want to call it, they believe that they should have had a say in this convention. And of course the convention was completely scripted. Every convention is completely scripted. But they would say to me, the convention was scripted. So yeah, they're allied with the Republican Party, but that's a tenuous alliance. And it's an alliance that has internal contradictions. And will they be bought off? Will they be subsumed? Will they be co-opted? Will they be folded into like egg whites into a souffle, as Andy Kopkind once talked about the Rainbow Coalition of Jesse Jackson and the Democratic Party is left to be seen. But I think the circumstances in the country are such that the power of money and violence is so overt that it's going to be harder and harder to buy people off with the idea of a kind of soft fascism. I think accepting soft fascism. These people don't want to accept soft fascism, and they're very clear that that's what they see around them.